All right, friends. Hey, divas, rock stars, guys, gals. Welcome back to our Facebook Live at number 2. So right at the last minute, I decided to have a technical issue on my big computer, so I'm doing this in a different way today. So what does that mean? That means that I'm doing this from my phone, so thank you so much for being here. And with that, as you all log in, please do me a favor and make sure that you comment, say hello below. I'm going to be live streaming from my phone, but also then viewing comments from my computer because I'm not going to be able to manage that technology very successfully all by myself here on my phone. But with that, I'm glad we're here, right? When life gives us lemons, we learn how to make lemonade, and I like lemons a whole lot. So with that, thank you so much. I'm really excited about being here. There we go. I see us on the big screen. And so with that, I'm going to just dive right into today's topic. You know, when I was thinking about what do I want to teach you here? What do I want to bring to the table that's going to augment what I've already been adding in through the written posts? It was really obvious, really clear that my next big power play for you is to help you understand how to identify your next and most ideal client when you're networking. So here's a question to you. And for those of you watching on replay, I even encourage you to contribute down below. So remember, quick tip number 1, when you show up to the lives, make sure, or you're watching on replay, be sure to be seen, show up. What do I mean by that? Drop your name down below, tell us who you are, where you're watching from, and because you want to be seen, right? There's a whole other concept that I'll teach on another day, but it's really important. Just trust me on this one. It's really important that you show up, engage, whether it's in real time with me here or if it is on a replay. So that being said, make sure you announce yourself and say hello. I will make sure that I reply back. So why is that important? Because our topic today is discovering your next most amazing client when you're networking. So here's a question. I want you to think for just a moment, recall different networking events that you've been to. If you're like many people, myself included, what tends to happen is we'll go to a networking event, we get checked in, we show up, and you know, whether the room full has maybe 3 people, or maybe there's 30 people, maybe there's 100 people, especially if you're an introvert, you look around that room and you're like, oh man, who do I talk to? How am I going to know who to talk to today? Does that sound familiar to you? If that sounds at all familiar, give me a thumbs up. I want to acknowledge who's here. I'm not sure who's here. Let me hold on a second. Can I see who's here with me? I'm looking online. All right, hold on. We got to make sure I get mute myself. So with that, when you go into the networking group and you have this moment where you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many people here, who do I talk to? And that, for many people, can cause anxiety, stress to trigger. And my intention today is to give you a macro game shift so that when you go networking, that first of all, you get peace to your nervous system. That's very important. First, networking is one of the most natural things that we do. In fact, we've been doing it since we were kids. So networking is easy, but being effective is where we need to gain skills. So you might have heard networking is easy. It's not simple. The simple is just in the strategy. It's in the skill set to make our time effective. Hey, Tyrone. Oh, hey, bud. Thanks for joining in. Glad you're here. Okay, cool. So getting back to what I was talking about of how to identify your most valuable client when networking, I'm going to take you through a perspective shift. Okay, this is a pivot in how you think about how you do networking. So when I talk about, when I pose the statement, I lay the statement on the table of identifying your next ideal client, your most valuable client, for most people, what they're going to think about is something called a transactional client. So I'm going to give you some language here that I teach. If you are one of my clients and you're in my Pop the Top it's my 3-day Trailblazing master class where we pop the top and start to give you new strategies and tools to be more effective with your time. You're going to hear some words that are in my training programs. So the pop the top 3-day master class is available, or if you're actually in my full Circle of 10 training program, these words are in that content. For those of you who have not had an opportunity to start working with me one-to-one yet, I'm introducing you to some language that I go deep inside my programs. So with it, there's this thing called a transactional relationship. Deb, what does that mean? What that means is most people, when they show up to a space where there's a networking opportunity, all they're thinking about is, who's my next sale? Who can I sell today? Who can I go find as a client? I need business now. I've got to find a client today. So with that, here's a question. Let me see by a show of hands. If I was in the room together, we are in the room together, so we're going to use our virtual hands here, or do your emojis. When you go networking, how many of you are showing up that way? Where you're thinking about, I've got to go get my next client. I'm going to network to go get my next client. I need to get a transaction. I've got to close a sale today. Chances are 90% of people that are here watching this video, that's been on your mind. So let's look at the other side. How many, yeah, Tyrone, exactly, right? So here's the question. How many of you, when you are networking, show up with the expectation or the thought process is, I'm going to network today and I'm going to go buy something? So my friends, right there, that is what we call premature solicitation. When we show up to a networking event, and if our whole focus is just on closing a sale today, and what you do with the words you say, how you act, how you behave, your energy, your attitude, if you show up in that networking group solely for the purpose of closing a sale today, you're probably not going to get a sale today. In fact, what is going to happen, there's this unspoken presence. It's your branding. You're branding yourself, by the way, when you do this, as somebody who is just in it to be what's called a card shark, or not thinking about other people, not really networking. You're just in there to make a high pressure sale. See, there's an energy that shows up when you do that makes people not want to buy from you. In fact, they might not even want to talk to you. So that might sound like a contradiction then. Well, Deborah, if I am showing up to network and you're talking about, you're here to teach me who is my next most valuable client, and now you're telling me that I shouldn't be trying to close a sale when I go networking. First of all, I'm going to say yes and no. Yes, I'm going to talk to you about your most valuable client. Yes, you will close sales from your networking. But for the most part, this is your biggest shift. See, here's the thing. The majority of people that are out networking or out doing the same, they've got the same thought process as you just shared with me that you have. That means that they're all trying to sell. So what do we have then? We show up into a room full of people where maybe you've got 10 people, 30, 50 people, and everybody's trying to sell each other, but nobody wants to buy. Nobody's showing up to network for the purpose of purchasing, but they're all showing up for the purpose of selling. So what happens? Nothing. You can walk away feeling frustrated. You can walk away feeling defeated. And you can walk away saying, oh my gosh, this networking stuff doesn't work. Networking works when you work your network. Networking works when you have the skills and you understand how to network in and network up. All right. So let me let you off the hook a little bit. If what I'm speaking sounds familiar because maybe you've done it or maybe others have done it to you. Maybe you've been on the end of somebody else who's trying to sell you when all you did is just say hello. And friends, let me give you another version of this because I'm talking about what I'm speaking of right now is in a real world scenario where we're all in a room together. But guess what? I see this go down online all the time. How do I know? Well, I'm not going to say I'm doing a social experiment, but I will tell you that I've been doing a social experiment lately. And I didn't have to do it because I've watched this for a long time. That's why I'm such a strong advocate. But I'm in different Facebook groups. I'm in LinkedIn groups. I'm in different media, different online groups. And I see a post. I'll see a social media post. And maybe I really genuinely like what I see. So I'll put a like button on it. That's all I do is I push the like button, and usually within 5 minutes, I get somebody in my direct message, in my messenger, trying to sell me. Oh, do you want a book for today? When literally I just saw them for the first time 3 seconds ago, and all I did was gave them a thumbs up. But they immediately, there's a disconnect here. This is what I'm teaching you. There's a disconnect around networking. It has to do with the mindset of how you show up to find your most valuable client. In that scenario, if you're the one doing social media and you're getting people that are giving you loves and likes, and if what you are doing is actually advertising, not networking, if you're advertising, not asking for a referral, if you're advertising and somebody gives you a thumbs up and right away you try to close the sale, you have zero credibility with those people. That's a big deal. Those people, like for me, I don't know who you are. If I just saw you 3 seconds ago and it's the first time I've ever met you and you're trying to sell me right away, that's premature solicitation and you just broke the trust factor. That's a big deal because trust takes time to build. It takes 2 seconds to break. Okay, so get back to our subject matter. I'm laying a couple of scenarios on the table for you that are real world things that I've seen happen. They go on all the time. The reason I'm being really direct about this is, number one, I want you to be one of those people that you act differently. You show up differently. You show up like a true professional who knows how to network. You build your leadership. You build your credibility. You actually get to showcase your authority in what you do and who you are, because that's going to serve you long term. It serves you short term and long term. Okay, so getting back to the subject matter of how to identify very quickly your best, next, most valuable client. This is a game changer. And when you allow yourself to absorb this, and then you start to show up and act differently, engage more genuinely, engage more humbly, engage with the people you're meeting with respect and with the knowledge of some of the things I'm teaching you here and what you might be learning in my programs. This one little game-changing shift can be so powerful for you. So what is it? The most valuable client is your network. Let me say that again. Done right, the most valuable client is your network. Okay, what does that mean? What I mean by this is, let me give you a real world example. I'm going to give you an online and an offline example. So offline, let's say you go to a networking event in your town and maybe there's 30 to 50 people there. Okay, let's just say there's 50 people there. Again, what typically is taught and what typically people do is one way that I've seen people act and behave and quote unquote network is that they'll try to pass out their business cards to all 50 people. They'll try to gather business cards from all 50 people only to do a hard sale close and try to get business right then and there. That's not networking. That's what I call being a card shark who's doing high pressure sales. When you understand that your most valuable client is the network, I want you to envision this. Imagine this. Imagine that you are starting to engage on a regular basis with that group of 50 people and you show up consistently. You show up and you allow people to get to know you. You allow people to understand who you are, why they should work with you, because you're teaching them, you're training them, you're showing them how to refer. You're not trying to sell them per se. You're trying to build the relationship that lets them have the confidence that they can trust you when they work with you. Now, if you take that approach, that mindset, and you show up to your networking group on a regular basis, all of a sudden, those 50 people now are going to have the ability to go to work for you and will want to. So instead of approaching a networking group, whether it's online or offline, as, well, I'm just going to get in and see who I can close today. You shift your perspective so you understand that your networking group as a whole, as a unit, is your best ideal client. You will start to treat them different. You'll start to nurture the relationships different. You'll start to shift how you speak. You'll start to change your strategy when you're connecting with people. You can be much more decisive. It allows you to go deep and build relationships. It allows you to benefit from the contacts of the people that are in that group, because here's the thing, you don't know who those people know. And that's why we network. Networking, transactional, is what I've taught you already. It's like you show up today to get a sale today. And yeah, you know what? We need that. That's a very important thing. But the how is different. You can get transactional sales when you're networking, but you need to have the skills to know how to bring about the introduction to the people that are ready to be your clients. And that's what I teach in my masterclass and in my Circle of 10 program. When you understand that the network as a whole is your best ideal client, then the skill to learn is how to know what network is right for you. And I go into that deep in the Circle of 10. I work with you on that. I help get very customized for you, so you're not spinning your wheels on where to go, who to talk to. I'll handhold and show you based upon all of my years of knowledge. But for today, my goal here was I wanted to open this up because you have another opportunity with this group that I'm building here. This is not just for me, it's for all of us. And as I keep teaching and inviting you to engage, be involved. When I do these lives, show up, interact with me. When I'm doing the printed posts, make sure that you comment, reply. Every time you're doing that, what I haven't told you is, but I'm going to tell you now, is that you are starting to be visible. And visible, when you're visible, by being active, by being communicative, that is going to start to open up eyes on who you are, so that we get to understand over time what you do. And I will be opening up opportunities as we go where you'll each be able to share more about who you are, what you do. This is going to be a community-driven group, but I have an agenda that we're going to need to follow. And so if you stay with me here, it's all going to be great. Tyrone, I'm appreciating that this is making sense to you, bud. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, so with that, I like to keep these, my intention here is to keep these lives pretty short. So today, what I just wanted to share with you is this macro concept. This is one of the most game-changing concepts you can understand. And if you haven't had a chance to watch the foundational live that we did last week, it's in the featured tab. Please go back in and watch that as well, because I want you to understand what to expect by being active here. And I want you to understand the vision of what I'm creating for all of us. And each week we do this, I'm going to layer on more information to help you be more successful every step of the way. So with that, thank you so much. If you have any questions about what I've stated, drop them below. I will swing back later and I will do my best to answer your questions. So appreciate to all. Have an amazing day. And as always, know this: I see you, I hear you, I stand for you. Who you are matters. What you do matters. I firmly believe that we're at the right place at the right time for the right reason. I'm here to help support you. So thanks so much for being here. And as always, go rock on. Okay, bye.